Discovering Alabama is a production of the Alabama Museum of Natural History.
I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. I come home to my solitary woodland walk as the homesick go home. I thus dispose of the superfluous and see things as they are, grand and beautiful. Reading about nature is fine, but if a person walks in the woods and listens carefully, he can learn more than what is in books. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone.
Hi, I'm Doug Phillips. Throughout recorded history, we have writings of people seeking the solitude of wilderness. Strictly speaking, wilderness is land that's uninhabited, uncultivated, land that's natural and wild. But today it takes an act of Congress to define wilderness. Well, the good news is Congress has used its power to designate another official national wilderness area right here in Alabama, the Dugger Mountain Wilderness. Join me as we get better acquainted with the state's third federally designated wilderness. We'll discover what makes the Dugger Mountain Wilderness area special. And along the way, we'll try to take a moment to pause and enjoy the area ourselves.
Wildness reminds us what it means to be human, what we are connected to rather than what we are separate from. This program is about a land unknown to many people, a land that in many ways has maintained its native natural wonders, a place of bountiful backcountry, forests, streams, and wildlife more diverse than can be found in much of the inhabited world. Come along with me as we explore the wild wonders of this land. Come along as we discover Alabama.
Welcome to Discovering Alabama, and welcome to the Dugger Mountain Wilderness. The legislation that officially dedicated Dugger Mountain to protected wilderness status was signed into law by the President in December of 1999.
On April 1st, 2000, the Dugger Mountain Wilderness Dedication Ceremony was held in a beautiful valley with the mountain as its backdrop.
Today, all of us are here gathered to dedicate this mountain, this whole range of mountain, as a national wilderness area. $9,200 acres will now be given our nation's highest level of protection. This will allow us and future generations to share this place, just like what was done by our Native American ancestors and pioneers like Taylor Dugger. And it's nice to know that what you see up there is going to remain the same for a long, long time.
Today really is a joyous occasion that we should all be so happy that we're here celebrating. And it's a joyous occasion for really many different reasons, and I just want to go over a few of them with you today. I think the first reason deals with us. As a species on this planet, we as human beings really need a place to retreat, a place to go to that's away from the traffic congestion and the paved roads and the ringing phone, and here lately tons of email. We need a place like Duggar Mountain.
In this day and time of urban sprawl, in this day and time when all of us do not have time to renew, we can look to something like this, and we can use it, and it can be therapeutic. This is what wilderness areas are meant to do.
The people here that have believed in this have worked hard and stayed with it and made it a reality. It is a tribute to the people in this area, and Pete, you particularly, and all of those that have worked with you, that you have gained almost universal support for it. So it makes it easy for us to support you. And I believe you're going to make this a exceptional place for retreat and refuge from the hustle and bustle of modern world.
This is certainly a great day for all the people of Alabama and the land of Alabama that we all love so dearly. We're here in the shadows of the second highest peak in Alabama. The addition of Duggar, of course, is our third wilderness area in the National Forest. And this designation brings our total wilderness acreage to over 41,000 acres.
Duggar Mountain, with an elevation of 2,140 feet, is Alabama's second highest mountain, making it ideal in yesteryear for a fire observation tower.
The Forest Service was given 2 years to remove this old man-made structure, after which the Duggar Mountain Wilderness will be left for nature to maintain. This 9,200-acre tract is located in the northeast region of the Shoal Creek District of the Talladega National Forest. The Duggar Mountain Wilderness is the third area of national forest within our state to receive the nation's highest level of protection for a tract of land. The Sipsey Wilderness in the Bankhead National Forest became Alabama's first national wilderness area when roughly 12,000 acres attained the Congressional Wilderness designation in 1975. In 1988, the area was doubled in size to more than 25,000 acres. The Cheaha Wilderness became Alabama's second officially designated wilderness area in the early 1980s. And like the Duggar Mountain Wilderness, the 7,500 acres here is in the Shoal Creek District of the Talladega National Forest.
Duggar Mountain's designation as official wilderness is the culmination of years of hard work that reflects what individuals can do when they work together for a common good.
But there's so many others that did hard work. People like Ken Wills, Hendrick Snow, many others. They went door to door all over this mountain and got over 200 signatures from the adjoining landowners. And they signed a petition saying they wanted their backyard to be a national wilderness area. Bruce and Francine Hutchinson, who happen to be my next door neighbors, they did a lot of the science background. I understand they took 200 trips, hiking trips up there, and some of it was hard work, but I know it was a passion and a love that they've had, and all of us have fallen in love with this mountain.
The modern idea that government should set aside and protect wild areas is often traced back to Teddy Roosevelt's friendship with John Muir, founder of the Sierra Club. Yet in the late 1800s, Taylor Duggar, for whom this mountain is named, set aside a sizable portion of his land holdings as a wildlife refuge. Such long-range thinking, such preservationist thinking, was virtually unheard of in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Here in these modern times, our natural heritage often comes into direct competition with money-making ventures that include everything from mining natural resources to building new outlet malls. In an effort to preserve remaining wildlands, many conservationists have attempted to place economic values on wilderness areas with new concepts like ecotourism.
These days, it seems it's not enough to preserve a bit of our remaining wild lands for reasons like, well, it's just the right thing to do. These days, we have to attach an economic value even to the moral high ground.
I think some people who are interested in preserving the environment have begun to try to give monetary values to the environment as more or less of a last-ditch attempt. Because they see that money is the thing that talks, they're trying to say, well, here we have a lot of money. In the end, that's going to be futile, because the values that the environment, that natural habitats provide for us, can't really be given dollar values.
Ultimately, we have to calculate the value of our natural surroundings in different terms.
I know this event is an agreement between politics and science, but doing this has been a deeply spiritual experience for my husband and I. We've had the opportunity to glimpse the wisdom, the kindness, and the sense of humor of the Creator. We have come to feel strongly that we all have a divinely appointed responsibility to caretake this creation upon which we depend for this part of our soul's journey.
Now, why would folks like Francine and Bruce Hutchinson devote so much time and energy helping obtain wilderness designation for a place like Duggar Mountain? A first clue can be gleaned by coming up here to simply look and listen. Because the southern Appalachians escaped the frigid encroachment of the last ice age, the region is home to quite an abundance of life. In addition to the magnificent array of native wildflowers that decorate Duggar Mountain, a variety of exotics have found a home here. Among the hardwoods to discover on Duggar Mountain are the oaks, hickories, beech, sweet gum, dogwood, sassafras, and sourwood. Our state tree, the longleaf pine, is often associated with southern parts of the state. Yet, in Alabama, the longleaf forest also ventured further to the north and even flourished around Duggar Mountain. It's a long way from Duggar Mountain to way down to Mobile Bay in the Gulf. But many of the waters that flow from up here join the Coosa River, then the Alabama River, and make their way down to Mobile Bay. The abundance of fresh water in this region makes this prime real estate for a variety of wild animals. Estimates are that around 900 species of animals make this place their home. At the right time, a quiet visitor to the wilderness can spot creatures wild and not so wild. You have to be quick to catch a glimpse of some of Duggar's more elusive critters.
My experience with Duggar Mountain is really amphibians and reptiles. My specialty is herpetology. And we have done some survey work up there in the past in helping to establish that as a wilderness area. We did a number of surveys there. And the frog populations are just wonderful. Salamander populations are very, very good.
All right, here's the salamander, y'all. You see? What animal was that? What kind of animal was that? Amphibian. All right.
And then we get to snakes, which everybody wants to know about. The venomous species, certainly copperheads are there, and certainly timber rattlesnakes are there. We probably also support a population of pine snakes. And here's a snake that different subspecies in the state of Alabama are certainly considered threatened.
Flocks of feathered fauna find the Duggar Mountain Wilderness a great place to visit, a great place to live.
I had a graduate student working with the bird survey over there, and I think she documented 60 species, which is, for the time period that we did that in, which is a pretty reasonable number of birds. The big issue with birds is space, especially for the neotropical migratory species. certain species require minimal amounts of what we would call core forest. Duggar is big enough that it's going to represent a nice chunk of core forest. And that's a huge benefit. Lots of species are going to be moving through here and using Duggar as a stopover place. And many of those individuals may choose Duggar as a place to stay.
Beneath the layer of life visible to the naked eye, scientific scrutiny reveals ever more.
I've had 3 graduate students do projects on a particular kind of animal that I'm interested in. The animal is called a water bear, or tardigrade is the scientific name of them. These are microscopic animals that inhabit freshwater habitats, or they inhabit mosses and lichens that grow on trees. We found what we think is a new species of tardigrade. The tentative name is Echeniscus duggarensis. We're going to name it after Duggar Mountain.
The group 3.
Life at the microscopic level may rarely be seen by anyone other than a scientist, so we might ask ourselves, what's the big deal?
The big deal is, 1, it's a new species. 2, it's endemic only to Duggar Mountain right now. It's the only place it's ever been seen, which tells us that Duggar Mountain should be protected even more than what it had been, and now it is protected. Again, it leads to how special an area Duggar Mountain really is.
I certainly enjoy going out and just simply being in the woods. I don't have to collect a single animal or see a single animal, just to relax a lot. It is very meditative out there. And so while I may be walking along trying to catch this or that or do some kind of study, there's also time just to let myself go and enjoy the moment.
Now here's an item commonly found up here. Beautiful piece of white quartz. There are great veins of quartz up here in this area, and they're evidence of geological events that happened long time ago to help create this region.
Duggar Mountain is part of the Appalachian chain of mountains. The quartz we find up here was created by the enormous geological pressures that pushed these mountains upward around 300 million years ago.
If you're a new visitor to the Duggar Mountain Wilderness, one of the best ways to witness its natural wonder is a trek along the Pinhoti National Recreation Trail.
The southern end of Pinhoti is down around Sylacauga, from where it extends northward along the Talladega Mountains for more than 100 miles. Of course, you don't have to do the entire trek to visit the new wilderness area. Around 8 miles of the Pinhoti Trail traverse the Duggar Mountain Wilderness.
Pinhoti is a Creek Indian word which means turkey home, which explains why the Forest Service used to use painted turkey tracks to mark the trail. Let's see this. Earlier I mentioned that we would try to take a moment to enjoy the solitude ourselves out here, to enjoy the wonder of the place. And while we do so, we might take a moment to reflect on the wisdom of some folks who have some very definite views about man's need for nature.
It's harder to put into words, but there is, dare I use the word, the spiritual value of diversity of life around us. In effect, it's the creation. And recent scientific studies of human response to natural environments and to variety in living organisms have shown that it's psychologically very healthy to have that as part of our daily environment. It's no coincidence that people will go way out of their way to reach the seashore or visit a forested canyon somewhere or a mountaintop to look out over a beautifully vegetated valley. We're beginning to understand that because humanity really has lived for thousands or even millions of years in natural environments teeming with as many different kinds of organisms, vital to their existence during most of that time, that human beings today need it in a deep psychological, even spiritual sense. So we should be thinking more and more about saving plants and animals and natural ecosystems as part of our heritage at the state level, national level, international level.
When E.O. Wilson speaks of a spiritual need for nature, he does so from the perspective of a scientist who appreciates the connectedness of all things across the environment. Others have come to the same conclusion from a different perspective.
Things that amazes me about Jesus is in his own ministry. And we forget that Christianity is an out-of-doors spirituality. It does not, very little happens in Jesus' life indoors. Everything is out of doors. In fact, Jesus' whole direction is to send people out of doors. Jesus himself, the whole Gospel of Mark is organized according to the retreats of Jesus, or I call it the advances. And it says, and he came apart, and he came apart. He came apart, so he didn't come apart. And when you look at where he came apart to the desert, the mountains, the water, the three different spiritualities of the land, sacred landscapes, if you will. So part of the challenge, I think, of today as we enter into this new world is appreciating the need to reconnect with what is authentic theology, authentic biblical spirituality, which is a spirituality that happens out of doors, not in temples, but out in the temple of creation, and to connect the story of the gospel with the wider story of creation itself.
E.O. Wilson doesn't speak for all scientists, just as Leonard Sweet doesn't speak for all religions. Still, it's interesting that from different perspectives, they've both come to the same conclusion. We humans have an inherent need for the wild wonders of creation. And there's another area about which these two agree. They would agree that we humans are a physical product of Earth. Our bodies are a mix of fundamental nature. When you look at it that way, it's no wonder that out here among the wilds of nature, we can often find a sense of solitude and rejuvenation.
This program is supported by grants from the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, the Alabama Wildlife Federation, and Legacy, Partners in Environmental Education.